Hello there, garden friends. It's Heather at Bush Poppy Farm. I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm out at the farm today in advance of some pretty major weather we have coming our way, starting tomorrow night, Wednesday night. So I have a bunch of stuff to do, both here and at the home farm, to prepare everything, make sure nothing gets destroyed. I have some seedlings to plant in the high tunnel. They've been just kind of languishing in the greenhouse at home, mostly because it's cold. And so they don't really want to grow much more. And so now I'm just going to get them in the ground. The ground here is actually warmer than what they've been experiencing in the greenhouse at home. And they'll be sheltered from the storm under the high tunnel. So I'm going to get those in the ground. And then I have a whole bunch big crate full of narcissus left over that I'm going to pop in all of my perennial beds, and I probably will still have some left over, and I'll have to figure out what to do with them. But yeah, so I'm going to work on that. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to the weeding on the back yet today, because I think I'm going to be out here for too long otherwise. Because at home, what I need to do is cover with floating row cover all of the beds in the front garden. As I've said before, all of those seedlings, all the flowers that I have growing out there, as well as the vegetables and stuff, they can all withstand cold, frost, even snow. But what we're supposed to be getting is high winds and very heavy rain. And it's going to be and also like sleet, because we're going to be at about 33 degrees. So the problem with the really heavy rains is it tends to flatten plants, and a lot of times they don't recover from that. And if their stems snap, then that's it, because they can't get nutrients to the leaves if their stems are broken. So I'm going to cover all those so that the heavy rain doesn't pummel them. They'll be fine with the cold and all that kind of stuff. The stuff here in the high tunnel will be just fine, because obviously the high tunnel protects them from heavy rain. They will be dealing with some wind, but everything's low to the ground. I think it'll be just fine. So I'm going to get started, and it'll feel good to get this knocked out. And I'm really looking forward to the rain. We're supposed to get almost two inches, which is a lot, all at once. So we'll get to see how the water moves here on the farm, because I really haven't had that opportunity yet. All right, so let's get started. Lighting is really strong here, but I do want to show you what I've got to put in the ground. So these are snapdragons. This is a Potomac mix, berry and Madam Butterfly bronze. This is strawflower, copper red, these two. These are Status, a formula mix, and yeah, that goes all the way down. And then here is Daucus, Orlea, Scabiosa Snow Maiden, and you can see how poorly they germinated, so very few of them. And then it just says, Starflower, that's a type of Scabiosa. Sweet Annie, and Feverfew Lime, Feverfew Yellow, Feverfew White. I love Feverfew so much, and there's some really pretty varieties. I have a stand growing at home already, but I want to have one out here too.
Out there alone on the highway, she had a broken wing she's trying to hide, and I was much too old to act on the feeling. But then again, I ain't never had someone to hold. I wrote songs for a mockingbird, take them all, leave them, I know that she heard. Songs for a mockingbird, looking at me, she sang every word. Songs for a mockingbird, oh, you give and you take, and you live and you learn. Songs for a mockingbird. She made love to me under the stars. But now I'm sure it wasn't worth believing, 'cause there ain't much room for love on a mountain of lies. I wrote songs for a mockingbird. Take 'em all, leave 'em, I know that she heard. Songs for a mockingbird. Looking at me, she sang every word. Songs for a mockingbird. Oh, how could you fake it? Is that what you were? Songs for a mockingbird. Oh. Someday soon she'll learn to fly. Songs for a mockingbird. You live and you learn. Songs for a mockingbird. Looking at me, she sang every word. Songs for a mockingbird. It was a mistake, that's what you were. Songs for a mockingbird.
Okay, it's lunchtime. I'm going to head out. I did get most of what I wanted to do done today. I didn't even bother marking these in the high tunnel because they'll just come up and I'll use them. But I'll show you what I did. So this is the tulip bed. In front of the tulips now is all snapdragons. Two different varieties, Madam Butterfly Bronze, and then I think it's a mix. Here is more Statice and Strawflower. And this row is only half done because this is all going to be for Dianthus in the spring. But in the back I have Starflower, Strawflower, Statice. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, Orlea, Daucus, and also Sweet Annie and Feverfew. So just like, 20 plants of each. So it's not a lot, but it will supplement what I've already got at home. And just look how big these ranunculus are getting. They're just huge. I mean, this is so big for this time of year. The ones at home are not big, but that's normal because they're out in the field. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. But I'm happy about that. That means I might have flowers a lot sooner than I usually do. And then over here in this part of the perennial bed, I cleaned out a whole bunch of garbage that was just kind of there and popped in clusters of fancy narcissus. And there's a big patch in there in that bare spot. So they will fill all this in the springtime with lots of spring flowers, and they're buried pretty deep. They'll stay there forever, and they'll just multiply and spread among these other plants. I got a little bit done down here, not much, but I was starting to get hungry, and the bees are very busy eating right now with the Agastache and stuff, and I kept bothering them. I kept, accidentally hitting what they were eating, and nobody tried to sting me or anything, but I felt like I was intruding. So I'll come back another day and finish out this bed with the remaining narcissus. But the bees are very happy right now eating on what little bit of flowers I have. And so I don't want to disturb them. I want to let them have their time, because we're about to go into lots of cold, wet weather and they won't leave the hive. So I'm going to give them a chance to get what they need. Okay, so I'm going to head off home for now and go eat, and then I'm going to go lay the fabric over the beds to protect them from the coming weather. Okay, back home, I had lunch. I had leftover turkey with brie and fig jam on a slice of cassava wrap. It was really good. Anyway, I am going to go take care of putting this frost cloth on. Let me show you what it is. Okay, so these are my stacks from last year of frost cloth, also known as floating road cover, sometimes also called Agribond. It comes in a variety of thicknesses, and you can see right through it. It is thin, but it also lets air and water and light through. It will protect your crops from heavy rain, which is why I'm putting it up. It'll keep birds off of your stuff because they can't get under once you tuck it all in. But also, the reason it's called frost cloth is that depending on the weight of the cloth you get, I think this is like the lightest weight. I think it comes in 2 heavier weights than this. But depending on the weight, you can get up to 5 degrees additional warmth in your bed when it's covered with frost cloth correctly. So that might mean the difference between a freezing temperature, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and 37 degrees, where the plants can actually be okay. So it's a really important thing to have. You can use this on all kinds of things. It doesn't just have to be on row crops, which is what I'm using them on. You can drape it over bushes and things like that tend to be frost sensitive when you need to. And you can get it in most garden centers. I got mine in bulk because I have a lot of yardage of them, but you don't have to do that. You can pretty much get them anywhere. And it's worthwhile to have on hand. Also, you can use them year after year after year. They get a little dirty, as you can see, but whatever, that's not really a problem. So I am going to lay out the frost cloth along the rows. The hoops are already out there. Then I'll draw it over, and then I'll anchor it down with sandbags. And that's because unless you make it really tight and anchor it down, it will just blow away. I mean, it's very gossamer-like, so you have to make sure you anchor it really well. I have sandbags that I use for that. And then, so you can watch me do that, and then we'll talk about it at the end. job done. So you'll notice that I did not cover this bed. There's a little bit of straw flower in here, and those are dahlias, and there's some scabiosa. I'm not worried about this stuff. That was just kind of random extra stuff that I put in. And then of course the fruit trees are there, and they are dormant except for the avocado. And I only covered half of this bed because only half of it is planted. So the rest back here, I mean, there's a couple of rogue radishes, but the rest of this is empty, and it will be filled with vegetables come summer. So you can see how I've attached, I ran out of sandbags, so I had to use staples, but you can see you pull it to a point, wrap it real tight and pull, because you want this to be taut. If it is not tight enough, then the rain will come down on it and literally collapse it. So I've got sandbags on the sides on these two tunnels. I also left the marigolds, because even though they got frost damage, I just didn't feel like pulling them out right now, and I don't have anything else planted here, so there's no point. So the ends are, that almost looks like a black cat in the photo here. The ends are twisted into a triangle. This is just how you do, this is like how you do a caterpillar tunnel as well, a low tunnel, which is what these are. They're low tunnels. They're just done with frost cloth instead of plastic. But you could do the same thing with greenhouse plastic and create your own basically mini greenhouses. They wouldn't be heated with an actual heater, but they would retain a lot more heat and stay probably 10 to 15 degrees warmer if you used solid plastic. But of course, then there wouldn't be any wind, air, or rain getting to them. So you'd have to necessarily have irrigation. But so that's anchored down everywhere, nice and tight. So I will come out here and check during the storm, because it tends to still get a little saggy when it gets very, very wet. I can just tighten it up during the storm, during the rain, with the sandbags and stuff. Mostly because I don't want a whole bunch of water pooling in here and crushing the plants, because the whole point of putting this was to keep the plants from getting crushed from too much rain. So that's going to be it for me today. The sun is going down. I need to go pick up my son from school. It's funny, the sun is going down and it is 2:45. Basically I wanted to wrap this up before dark, because it's really hard to work out here in the dark, as you can imagine. And now I am ready. The rains won't arrive until late tomorrow night, but now I don't have to worry about doing this tomorrow. I can focus on other things. Maybe going out to plant the rest of that narcissus at the farm, but it's not really a big rush for that. I can continue to work on those for the next, I don't know, month. It's not really a big deal. At this point, what is it, November 29th? I have everything planted for spring. Everything's in the ground. I am starting to order and get in all the stuff I need for the late spring, early summer. All of the seed starting for that won't start until January, February. So I'll go over that with you guys so you can see how I plan, because you can do the same type of thing for your garden. It doesn't have to be a full-scale like flower farming thing, but you want to plan when to start seeds if you're going to be doing that instead of buying seedlings, so that you know how far in advance to start doing it, because in a lot of cases it might be 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes 10 to 12 weeks before your last frost. So and for me, my last frost the last couple of years has been late March. So 12 weeks before my last frost is early January. So you gotta really think in advance to plan and make sure you have everything that you're gonna need for your garden if you're starting from seed. So I'm just gonna check on everything else. The radishes that I sowed haven't germinated yet. I think it's just been too cold and just not enough sun. So they will sit in there, and at some point they will germinate. And so then probably in spring I'll have a whole crop of radishes in that bed. But we'll see. We'll get some warm days, but I'm looking at a hummingbird in the sage right now. So that's another reason I don't cut this stuff down, because the salvia flowers and the agastache, like out at the farm, are some of the few remaining flowers that give food for pollinators especially the hummingbirds. So, all right, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to do a seed haul video for you guys with the seeds I've gotten from Johnny's and some I got today from Botanical Interest. I'm actually going to place another Baker Creek seed order because the catalog came in, which is amazing, and I saw things in there that I didn't see online. They were online, but just, you know, it's presented in a different format. So yeah, so I'll probably do another order of that because I can't help myself. Yeah. Anyway, thanks again for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.